Hello, hello. Welcome to Is in the Kingdom, another episode with myself, Pearl. This is a ministry that is born of God. God had placed it on my spirit in order for me to help and assist reminding people that there were always is in the kingdom. But furthermore, to remind them that they are loved, that they are guided, that all things work together for your greatest and most abundant good. Honey, I need to remind you today that you are an heir in the kingdom. Okay, and you are a royal priesthood. I also want to remind you that, honey, greater is the plans that God has always intended for you. You have an inheritance waiting for you on the other side of your obedience. I also have compiled with God a free kingdom inheritance introductory guide. This helps assist you in reflecting and seeing some amongst the things that hinder you from truly accessing that kingdom of God that was always within you. So if you would like to read through it, please kindly email me and I will send it to you without any delay. It is heirs in the kingdom 33@gmail.com. I'll probably put it down here. I also have coaching and a mentorship program for people that want to really take their work with God, with alignment, with coherency very seriously, helping and assisting people on a one-on-one basis to align with the kingdom of God that was always within them, align with the plans that God has always intended for them, align with the great inheritance that was always your birthright. In order to book me for my one-on-ones, you can kindly email me on isinthekingdom33@gmail.com. All right, so today's word is about the heart, honey. God wanted me to speak about the heart today. He wanted me to break down a little about how important keeping that heart pure is.
A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. Luke 6, verse 45.
So, God wanted me to speak about the heart today. God wanted me to speak about the importance of reminding you that the heart, keeping the heart pure, is so important and detrimental for your alignment. What does this mean? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Okay, so we're going to break it down from biblical verses. The first that we are going to visit today will be out of Proverbs 4. 4 verse 23. So it says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Honey, everything that begins to manifest in your life, the way in which your mind, your body, and your spirit move in the world are governed by your heart space. This heart space is also where the kingdom of God resides, right? The kingdom of God was always within us. If your heart is filled with negativity, or is filled with bitterness, or is filled with pain, what it does is it only magnetizes what is already within you. Let me give you a typical example with my walk through life. I had been in very painful experiences, and no matter what it is that I tried to do within my reality, I just kept summoning in more pain, right? But I want to remind somebody today that what all changed was the awareness of me recognizing that this pain that I'd been entertaining had manifested in different areas of my life. What does that mean? Merely me continuing to feed it my life force energy, it continued to manifest. I want to remind somebody today that where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so guarding our heart was always to come into alignment with our mind and our body and our spirit that they all face one focal point in our lives, and that it doesn't scatter or has our energy scattered everywhere. The heart space is where your gifts flow. This is the kingdom of God. This is where your spiritual gifts are. This is where your communication with God is. This is where your discernment is. Like, all of these things are coherent to the alignment of your heart space. And so, if there is a lot of clutter in your heart, it distorts out you hearing God, it distorts out you coming to the coherence of that kingdom that was always within you. This is why when you get before God and when you ask God, right, to help you attain something in life, a lot of things fall apart first. The reason in that is because the old needs to go. The things that weren't coherent with his perfect will for your life need to dissipate from your life. They need to dissolve from your life. God never created you from a lens of pain. He never created you from a lens of distortion. He never created you from a lens of having to dim yourself. And so 100% of the time when God summons you and when God works on you, he first begins by pruning all the branches that no longer bear fruit. I mean, it did bear fruit. It just bared the fruit that wasn't coherent to what it is that you wanted to align with. So you were probably breeding more pain. You were probably breeding more uncomfortable experiences in your life. But I want to remind you today that it is very pivotal that you keep your heart space pure. Honey, the second verse that I want us to go to, you will see how all these are linked together, is Matthew 33, verse 34 says, "Brood of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh." So it reminds us that you cannot speak, you cannot hold or harbor evil in your heart, right? What is evil? Let's just say anything that happens to be negative or anything that doesn't align with the perfect will of the Father over your life. And want to manifest great fruit, right? So whatever it is that is within your heart, this is what you continue to manifest. This is what you continue to summon in. And so today, I want to remind somebody that this is an invitation to check what was always inside of your heart. Ask God to illuminate to you what is in your heart. There are times in our lives that we go through things and we are not aware that we still harbor bitterness. We still harbor unforgiveness. We still harbor traumatic experiences of the past. And this is not to negate that all these things will be gone all in one flash. But you have to remember there is a verse that says, "Forget the former things." Why did we have to forget the former things? Because where your heart is, so does your body go, so does your mind go, right? Let me give you a typical example with pain. If I am hurt right now, 9 times out of 10, I would try to numb out the pain by kind of sourcing out other external substances to make up for that pain. So if I was in pain or experiencing pain, I would source alcohol. If I was in pain, I would source out drugs or narcotics. If I was in pain, I would source out sexual activity, etc., right? Trying to numb out. But what this does is it further pushes you away from your source, from your center, from the governance of the heart. I remind you today that, honey, forgiveness is not only for them, it is mostly for you. It is to continue aligning yourself with the purity of everything that God had always wanted to do through you. Now, the third verse that we're going to visit today comes from Luke 6, verse 45. It says, "A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." So both Luke and Mr. Matthew and Miss Proverbs, Lady Wisdom, were all speaking and reminding us the importance of heart coherence in moving forward in our lives. A lot of things in our lives are scattered from our heart space. Your energy is scattered from this place. And so perhaps you invite Jesus into your life and ask him to assist you with unpacking what was in your heart, seen, unseen, conscious, unconscious, known, unknown, because it is not just about the things that you feel you know. There are things that may have happened throughout the course of your life that have also left dents and left markers of that pain, left markers of something that then breeded bitterness in your heart, etc., etc. And so to check in with these and to finally surrender them so that you can come into the wholeness of everything you were created to be, then things begin to get easier from this point of your life. You begin to call in what it is that is aligned with his perfect will for your life. And now you are only ever waiting on divine timing, on God timing, basically, to bring you the fruits of your harvest. So I remind you today, my love, that you have an inheritance. You are an heir in the kingdom. You have places to go. You have people to see. You have things to do. You have ministries to birth. You have stages to be on. You have people to speak life into. You have lives to change. And so I remind you today that you guard what is in your heart. Honey, this is the last point that God is bringing to my awareness and my attention right now. A lot of us ask for things, but our body is pulling us towards something else. Let me give you a typical example with marriage. A lot of people want marriage, but we're still entertaining people of the past. You're entertaining somebody that you know isn't aligned with God's perfect will for your life, kind of thing. These are the little things in your daily life that bring you into misalignment. And so you want to come back into the totality of everything you were created to be. How do we do that? By purging out the old with Jesus, with God, with source, and giving it to him, surrendering it to him. He says he will give you a new heart. He will. This is why a lot of people that go through seasons of transformation in their life look nothing like where they come from. It is because God brings you to the totality of who he had always authentically created you to be before the pain had tried to write in your story, before the disappointment had tried to weave into your story, before the lack of support had, or the rejection wound had written into your story. And so when you come into that place of purity and cleanliness, or and wholeness in self, things begin to change, but things also begin to move a lot easier in your life, in that you no longer learn a lot from lessons like you would as somebody who is asleep, but you learn from wisdom. So you don't perpetuate the same cycles that bring you into misalignment of the heart. You continue to push towards the things that fuel your growth, that fuel what it is that you want to align with in this life. So if it is marriage, you begin to be a wife right now. If it is a business, you begin to pour into yourself right now. How would that person, that version of you that God had created without bounds, would move? They would move without having to hold themselves back. They are not limited by that rejection wound. They are not limited by that scarcity mindset. I tell you today that out of the abundance of your heart, the mouth speaks. Guard your heart, because again, we are reminded that be careful of what it is that we utter with our mouth, right? Because words are spells, right? Words have the power to birth or to destroy. And so ask yourself, what am I birthing? This is only a manifestation of what was always inside there. So look at the words that you speak on your daily basis and ask yourself, do they align with what it is that you want to, with where it is that you see yourself in life? Do they align with what it is that God has spoken over your life? This is the identity work that you need to continue unlearning in order to learn who you always were in God. I love you. You are loved, you are protected, you are guided. Now, I pray that you take this with you into your Saturday. You, my love, are wonderfully and fearfully and boldly and confidently made. So remember that. Remember that you are not a mistake. You are not something that was just dropped on the face of the planet. You are wonderfully made.